Welcome back. This lesson is on drawing histograms, which are a type of graph. So go ahead and get your notes started. We have our learning target here in the middle, displaying numerical data in plots on a number line. So last time we did line plots, now we're going to do histograms, and then our next lesson will be on box plots.
Do you think they noticed that we're in the same clothes as we were in the last video?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your I can statement down. I can display data using a histogram and read a histogram to analyze its data.
All right, data from a frequency table can be displayed as a histogram. So you're asking yourself, what in the world is a histogram? Well, it's very similar to a bar graph. It does display data from the same category, but this time it's going to be very specific. They're going to have data intervals. It may be weight in pounds, like this first example, or it could be sales, or it could be times in a race or a contest. That type of data organizes very nicely because it's numerical. So these intervals will be shown as bars, just like a bar graph would be. It's set up just like a bar graph in the fact that it has a title. It has labels on the X and the Y axis, just like you've used in science class. It has a scale similar to a bar graph on the left-hand side. It does have bars or columns, except for this time you're not going to see any spaces like you would for a bar graph. The reason it is goes back to those intervals in our definition. Because the intervals run from 1 through 10, and then it starts again at 11, there's no space between the numbers on where one interval ends and where the next interval begins. So we don't want any spaces in any of our bars. We try to keep our bars the same width so it doesn't look like one is overtaking the other, and that everything is together with no spaces in our histograms. Example 1, this graph is showing how many dogs in the class weigh more than 20 pounds. So we need to read the histogram, and answer the question.
So there's our 20 pounds. So everything past this point is larger than 20 pounds, so more than 20 pounds. So in this one here, you can read the height. It's halfway between 6 and 8, so that's a 7. Here, this one goes up to between 2 and 4, so that'd be a 3. And this one is halfway between 0 and 2, so that's a 1. All of these are greater than or more than 20 pounds, so we get a total of 11 dogs. All right, so now it's our turn to actually go ahead and make a histogram. In this case, they've done all the hard work for us. They've created our intervals, so basically we're counting by tens. 20 through 29 is going to be one interval, 30 through 39, 40 through 49, 50 to 59. The most important part about an interval is they're all exactly the same number or same size. There are 10 possible numbers that fall in the range of 20 to 29.
Yes, 20 through 29 is 10. You can count them again.
Yeah, but they're going to miss that 0. They tally up how many they have, and then they write it as a frequency instead of a tally. That frequency is what we're going to go ahead and graph. So we already have our intervals down here. The goal is we want to make them as evenly spaced as we can, because we want each bar to be the same size, and then we just draw it to the appropriate height. So for the first one, I want to go up to 4.
Ooh, nicely done. Shaded in.
Then the next one we're going to go up to 9, so that's going to be halfway between 8 and 9, 8 and 10. Now mine aren't quite as close to the same width as they should be, but yours can be much better. Next one should be 6, and then 1 for our last one. So you should be shading in the bars as you go, but there should be no gaps in between them because there's nothing in between 29 and 30. And all 4 of the bars should be the exact same width, or much better than mine are here.
It's your turn. This histogram has a frequency table all set up for you. The first thing you need to do is to put that title on your graph, number of sodas sold per day. So use the number sign, sodas per day. Capital letters, there you go. Then you need an X and a Y axis label, so make that number of sodas sold, and on the y-axis is going to be your frequency. Next thing to do is to set up your intervals in your frequency chart, you don't have to start with the minimum or the maximum. You want to make sure that the focus again is on equal intervals. So if I see something that starts in the 50s and then I look at it and I see it goes all the way up to the 90s, I'm going to go ahead and set my intervals to be 50 to 59.
So you don't have to only include the numbers in the table, you just want to make sure they're included in the ranges that you're using.
And there's many possible answers. I mean, you can count by 3s, you can count by 5s, 10s. It just makes it go a little quicker.
You just need to make sure each interval is exactly the same size.
Can you get rid of this purple junk?
Sure.
All right, Mr. McKenzie's going to go through his data table using the one color and find all the 50s to go into the 50 to 59 frequency. So he's got three of them.
So you can do it as a tally or as a number.
And then I go through, I like to change pens, but you probably don't have pens with you, so I don't know, circle, underline. 60 to 69, we only have one of them. Boring.
Just one.
7 to 79, he's going to find 8 of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
So we have 8 in that 70 range. Let's go with green. Let's
or
do our
underline it or box it or whatever.
80s. 1, 2,
You're gonna find 8
3,
again.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the 80 range.
I'm a genius knowing that ahead of time. All right, pink, 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 go.
That's a weird one.
Who cares?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh man, I got this wrong.
Even counting them ahead of time, Mrs. King still can count.
Hey, it's like, what do you want to do? All right, next thing we need to do that our frequency chart is done is to go over here on our graph and start our scale. What are we going to count by? In this case, we go from 1 in our frequency table up to 8. So some of you may want to count by 1s, but it's a heck of a lot easier to count by 2s and use the midpoint for some of the bars. There you go. Making sure that your scale is evenly spaced so we don't have distorted data on our y-axis. Then he's going to go through and get his
intervals. So I'm going to try and
up.
space them out nice and neat. And then label them appropriately. 50 to 59. Even if you can't read it, you know what I'm writing.
No pressure.
70 to
79.
80 to 89. 90 to 99.
So all of you boys who love details, you're going to have to hang in there. Come on, make them equal.
Okay. Now we need to go ahead and draw them to the appropriate height. So for 50 to 59, I had 3.
There you go.
Go up to 3. Look at that bar.
That's pretty nice.
60 to 69 is 1, so halfway between 0 and 2. Now I got to go all the way up to 8. Here's where it's going to get a little ugly.
Test your straight line.
That's pretty darn good.
Looks like a tree.
There's an 8. Then from 80 to 89, another 8. And then our very last one, 90, goes up to a 4. You do want to shade these in just so they kind of stand out, so they don't get mixed together. Okay, but again, there should be absolutely no spaces in between each of the bars. Each bar should be as close to the same width all the way straight up to the top as you can. Make sure you got your title, your labels, and your scales on all 3 or both of your 2 axes.
Okay, before you leave, you got to make sure that you finish that last question so that we know that you watched the entire video. How is a histogram similar to a bar graph, and how is it different? Use capital letters, complete sentences, and complete that before you come into class. See you later.